So it's 7 o'clock, people are here, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so thanks and welcome everyone to the November meeting of the Union Township Planning Commission. I'm a little bit nervous this evening because we have impressionable youth in the audience, but I'll try to get through it. All right, so we've had the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we have roll call, please?
Squattrito.
Here.
Albrecht.
Here.
Buckley is excused. Gross.
Here.
LaBelle.
Here.
Lapp.
Here.
McDonald is excused. Shingles.
Here.
Thering.
Here.
Got a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next item is approval of tonight's agenda. So you have tonight's agenda in front of you. There's 3 new business items on it and 1 other business item. Is anyone aware of anything else that needs to be on tonight's agenda or any issues with tonight's agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
So motion by Thering, second by Shingles to approve the agenda as prepared. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so our agenda is approved. Next item is approval of the minutes. We last met on October 17th, our regular meeting. So you have those minutes in your packet. Are there any, are there any corrections to the October 17th minutes? I didn't see any myself, but
Move to approve. Support.
did you make the motion?
Yes.
So motion by Gross, second by LaBelle to approve the minutes as, from October 17th as prepared. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the minutes are approved. So next item is correspondence, board reports, and presentations. And the first one is Commissioner Thering, updates from Board of Trustees.
Thank you, sir. I've kind of got a little bit of a list because I was not here last month. So some of my notes are a little old. But as we go, on the September 27th meeting, we did some governance policy review, which of course we all know that's how our board is, that's how we perform our duties based on that. We not only continued discussion, but concluded and on the manager's evaluation. That's all done. On October 11th, we approved of an application to transfer the industrial facilities tax exemption certificate from Birch Tank to Bandit Industries, which it will expire on 12/30 of 2030, which is I believe a 50% reduction on their, it's a tax exemption for them. Also, we approved a joint 9-day early vote. So during state and federal elections where it applies, there needs to be, because of the new laws, voting laws, there's at times we will have a 9-day early voting. And we have approved to join up with the city of Mount Pleasant to have that at one location at CMU Powers. So it'll be 9 days out, and that'll be for state and federal elections. If you have any more particular questions on that, I guess I would ask you to reach out to the clerk. But that saves, both municipalities share responsibilities, which in turn saves money and provides the early voting. So, October 25th, that was an exciting meeting. quite a while back, the board approved for a grant, a grant that was written for the Clean Water Revolving Fund for that it encompassed various projects. It was for $5.9 million. Unfortunately, we did not receive any grant money from that. They also approved a grant for the Drinking Water Revolving Fund for $10.958 or $10,958,000, which we received 100% of that grant. So the different projects you can find, I'm sure in our, I don't have them written down, but it's all specific. I mean, you don't, obviously, you know, as you write grants, you can't just say for stuff. It's for specific things. Also, there was, the board unanimously approved a resolution to send a letter to our state legislatures for, or in regards to inform that we did not approve of legislation discussed and voted on in regards to loss of local control for the siting and permitting of utility-scale renewable facilities, including solar, wind, and large-scale battery storage facilities. That control would be given to the state, which we as a board, and I'm sure as a planning commission, we work very hard to try to make our community as, I think we should have some say in our community as to how things will be. It could include setbacks, it can include, I believe one of the things they did not require to have like 100% of the if the project ends, you know, if the solar panels or whatever it is that's put in place needs to be removed. And I mean, definitely jump in, Rodney. They don't have to necessarily put in 100%. So I think that's one thing that they had in some of the other townships where, like the windmills, where they had to put that money in place before they started the initial construction. And I don't know if, can you elaborate a little bit more on that in the respect of?
Well, essentially it was a pair of House bills that, as was said, take away almost entirely the local control over utility scale solar and utility scale wind turbine projects. There's as the bills were adopted, there's a very narrow window in which local government can have a say over some of the projects. The largest ones, there is no say. But over smaller ones, we could have a certain say, but we'll have to amend our ordinance pretty significantly to bring in line with these bills. The bills themselves are sitting on the governor's desk right now. She has not acted on them, but they have passed the House and the Senate. It's House Bill 5120 and 5121. So at this point, wait and see what the governor will do.
I had a question. This is my question to you that I told you I was going to ask. So let's say I own farmland. The governor, let's just say the governor signs this, and one of these entities comes in and wants to buy my farmland or rent my farmland to put in there. And the state gives them their parameters, to which I really don't care for. Before I allow them, can I put in like a deed restrictions or something like, not deed, I guess if I sold it to them, but can I put in restrictions, my own restrictions?
Well, that is the interesting thing. The preemption is against local government rules like our zoning ordinance. There's nothing that prevents a private property owner from saying you can do this but not this. And it would be up to the solar or wind energy company to decide if they're willing to live with those private restrictions. I mean, just as you would do with any sale, any contract, you can put in whatever private stipulations you would like.
And so I think if I owned property, I would want it to be fully funded for the project to be removed someday, or at least a reasonable plan in place before I would say, yeah, go ahead, because what if the unmentionable happens and they leave and they cannot remove it? Then what happens then? So I just kind of a thought in my head. Anyway, the last meeting, we started working on our 2024 budget, so that's kind of where we are. That's it, sir.
Are there any questions for Commissioner Thering on board trustees related matters? Okay, thank you. Thanks for the extensive report. Commissioner Buckley's not here, so I'm assuming nothing from ZBA. Have they even met recently, or?
They did have a meeting in November. There were no applications. There was some basically housekeeping items.
Okay.
Adoption schedules and things like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then, as has been the case recently, you have in your packet, you had a copy of the Community and Economic Development Monthly Report, which has everything. I don't know if it has everything that happens here, but it has almost, seems like it has just about everything. Does anybody have, any commissioners have any questions on anything in the monthly report? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on. Any other reports that anyone's aware of? Any correspondence, anything that we need to be aware of? Okay, so we'll go ahead and close that back up. So we'll move on to public comment. So in our meetings, we have two public comments, one towards the front of the meeting and one towards the end. The one at the front of the meeting is restricted to items that are not on the agenda. So if there's anyone in the audience who would like to address the Planning Commission on an item that's not on tonight's agenda, you're welcome to do so at this time. We would invite you to come to the podium, give us your name and address for the minutes, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. This public comment is open at 7:12. Okay, and so seeing none, again, there'll be a general public comment later in the meeting, but we'll go ahead and close this one back up. So we're ready to move on to our new business items. As I mentioned, we have 3 of them. The first one is the final site plan application for a proposed building addition for indoor golf, archery, and office space at 2160 East Remus Road. And so we previously approved the preliminary site plan. We also approved some moving around of dirt. And so now we're ready to do the final site plan. So I'll turn it over to Rodney to introduce this, and then we'll move forward.
Well, thank you very much. I should have a copy of our report dated November 13th. Starts on page 38 of your packet. The short version of this report, the plan is in excellent shape. We found everything to be in good order, and we're pleased to recommend approval of this final site plan as is presented. I haven't answered any questions. That's represented here from the applicant, but as I said, the plan is in good order, ready to go.
Okay. Any immediate questions for Rodney while he's up there? Okay. Thanks. And so you said we have a representative of the applicant?
Yeah,
Anything you'd like to say? Or you just want to be there, be available for questions?
I'm just here. Tim normally would be here, but
Yeah.
he's on a little emergency in Texas, so he couldn't be here, so
Hmm.
I'm staying here.
Okay. All right. So then the items before us, again, we previously reviewed the preliminary site plan, and now this is the final one. So it's on the floor. It's open for discussion and questions from commissioners. This is the one down not too far east of Lincoln on Remus Road that has a fair number of mature trees on the lot, so that was part of your report. They were proposing to use some of the existing vegetation in their landscaping, and it seems pretty reasonable.
I move to approve the PFI NAL SPR 23-02 final site plan dated October 13th, 2023 for a 4,000 square foot building addition for indoor golf, archery range, office, and related storage located at 2160 East Remus Road in the northwest quarter of Section 21 and in the B5 Highway Business District zoning district, finding that it fully complies with applicable zoning ordinance requirements for final site plan approval, including sections 12.5 non-conforming sites, 14.2.p required site plan information, and 14.2.s standards for site plan approval.
Support.
Okay, so the motion was made by Lapp with a second by Gross to approve the site plan, finding that it fully complies with no conditions. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will ask for a roll call vote, please.
Gross.
Yes.
Albrecht.
Yes.
Shingles.
Yes.
Lapp.
Yes.
Squattrito.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
LaBelle.
Yes.
All yeses.
Okay, thank you. So this is approved, so they'll be able to move forward with that project.
See you.
So we're ready to move on to item 2. This is a preliminary site plan application for a proposed roughly 6,000 square foot building addition and some site improvements at the Walmart store at 4730 Encore Boulevard.
Thank you. This one starts on page 63 of your packet, our report dated November the 8th. This is a interesting new project, as was mentioned. This is in addition to Walmart expanding their pickup service, order ahead and pickup service. I've seen one of these facilities on another Walmart. It is a nice addition, both to their services and a nice addition to the building. This is, just as with the previous site, this is a site that the ordinance calls a non-conforming site, which simply means it was developed before our current ordinance was adopted. So it may not comply with all of the current site development standards. And so as part of that, we, on page 64 of your packet, we have the reference to section 12.5, non-conforming sites. This section was added to the zoning ordinance, and what it does is allows us to, it allows an applicant to propose improvements to an existing site, and allows you to consider and approve a site plan for improvements to an existing site, where not everything is brought up to current standards. It basically, this section sets some priorities. Number one priority is public safety deficiencies must be corrected. And then beyond that, it has 10 kind of broad categories of potential improvements. And the section says that any site plans coming before you needs to address at least 3 of those categories. And if it does, then as I said, we are not going to look at fixing everything. So for example, in this report, you don't see any comments about landscaping. That's a preliminary site plan. We don't often comment in that area here anyway. But that's an area where they are not proposing significant alterations to the existing landscaping, which does not fully meet our current standards. There is landscaping on the site, just not matching the current ordinance. But what this section does is it basically focuses in on certain key improvements to make as part of a project. So in this case, public safety improvements is the key item. For Walmart, of course, they want to provide the additional service. That's what the addition's for. For us, we've long received complaints and seen the challenges associated with getting in and out of the Walmart, both the north and the south entrance. There's plenty of vehicular conflict points both places. And so we asked the Walmart folks to take a look at that and see what could be done. And the plan you have reflects their analysis and resulting plan to improve that access, to create a little bit more controlled environment, fewer conflicts, and create a little bit more guidance as you go through the parking lot. They will be removing some parking spaces to do that, but they more than meet the standards for parking, so that's a non-issue. We'd also note, as you'll see on that non-conforming site section, that one of the items that is an improvement is pedestrian improvements, and that's the new sidewalk that went up along the front of Walmart. That of course was put in really as part of the Sam's Club project, the filling station. But Walmart agreed to do their part. As we pushed Sam's Club, and Sam's Club pushed Walmart, and we were able to get that sidewalk extended all the way up across the Walmart frontage. And so that was a Walmart project to do that part, and so we're happy to acknowledge that here and include that as one of the improvements that met the section 12.5 standard. Beyond that, essentially in our report, there are just a few minor housekeeping items that need to be taken care of. One just referencing marking the loading area for the addition, which is really, as far as we viewed it, which is the parking spaces for the pickup customers. And then adding the bicycle parking that's required for the addition. There was some environmental language that basically it's a standard form from the state of Michigan Eagle Environment, Great Lakes and Energy Department that talks about hazardous materials that is part of our application package. They didn't turn it in with the original submittal. I think we've actually received it now, haven't we? Just came in, so you'll see it with the final site plan set. So even that item's been taken care of now. So I guess the other item is mentioned in our report as related to stormwater management. They're currently looking at that issue right now. From our perspective, they're actually reducing slightly the amount of impervious surface on this site to build the addition, primarily because of the improvements they're making, the vehicle access, adding some islands and such. So, we do not expect there to need to be any changes related to stormwater management, but they're going to be working with our engineer on that. So with that in mind, we're very comfortable with recommending this plan to you for preliminary site plan approval as presented. The items, the small housekeeping items, are final site plan details anyway, so they do not need to be listed as separate conditions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Rodney?
I have a request. I can't read the text on my copy. I tried it even with a magnifying glass, sorry. And I think that they used a bold text and it all runs together in the copying because it's so small. I was able to read the other site plans, so that text was legible, but I find this on almost every page not legible. I don't know if other people had trouble with that as well.
Yours looks different than mine. Oh, no, this, yeah, this
Yeah.
part's a little dark. Some of the pages aren't too bad.
And maybe you can see the images well enough.
Read them word for word.
In
Yeah,
part,
I-
we'll certainly mention that too, and make sure that that gets addressed. In part, it may be that the original plan was a very large scale. I think it was 32 by 40, if I recall.
Oh, so they scaled it down.
Normally, the large scale is 24 by 36, and so they shrunk it from there. We do let all of our applicants know they need to make sure it's legible at this scale, but we'll remind them again to work on the font so it's legible, 11 by 17.
But otherwise, I didn't have any questions about it.
Okay. Is anyone from the project here?
They were going to be on our, on the screens. Did
They're
they
not.
make it? Okay.
There's nobody here.
Okay. All right. Other questions or comments for Rodney? All right, we seem to be content, at least at the moment. So this is before us, and so it's up for deliberation. Again, it's preliminary, so you're not committing your lives and sacred treasures to this, but on the other hand, we want to make sure we identify, identify issues so that they can be corrected if there are any.
Well, I'll make the motion to approve the preliminary site plan as presented. To approve PRE SPR 23-04 preliminary site plan dated October 10th, 2023 for a 6,672 square foot expansion of the Walmart building to add a new pickup service area along with associated parking lot and egress improvements to the site located at 4730 Encore Boulevard in the southwest quarter of Section 26 and in the B5 Highway Business Zoning District. Finding that the site plan fully complies with the applicable zoning ordinance requirements for preliminary site plan approval, including sections 14.2.p, required site plan information, and 14.2.s, standards for site plan approval.
I'll second.
Support.
Okay, so the motion was by LaBelle with second by Lapp, just under the wire. And so you've heard the motion, and it's to recommend approval of to approve the preliminary site plan with no conditions. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, we'll do our roll call.
Gross.
Yes.
Squatrito.
Yes.
Daring.
Yes.
LaBelle.
Yes.
Albrecht.
Yes.
Shingles.
Yes.
Lapp.
Yes.
All yeses.
Okay. Thank you. So that will get communicated to them, and we'll wait to receive the final site plan. Let's see. So next item is an application for an request for approval of a 365 calendar day extension on an approved site plan. This is for the Christ Oil Filling Station at 4972 East Pickard Road. You saw some of Rodney's report, but I guess if you want to go ahead and just give us the oral version of that, that'd be fine.
Yeah, so you have the request from the applicant for Christ Oil and our report dated November the 2nd. This is simply a case where the road construction kept them from building on that site. Our ordinance says that the final site plan expires after 545 calendar days unless a building permit has been issued and construction is diligently pursued. In this case, although a building permit was approved, and that actually is about to expire, they actually asked for an extension of that as well. They did not do any construction related to the building permit. They put the underground tanks in the ground, but that was actually related to a state permit. So on a technicality, essentially, they have not pursued construction at this point. The site was used by the MDOT contractor for staging area, and so Crystal is intending to get moving on their project, but not at this point until the spring. So to avoid any question about the validity of the site plan, we recommended that they make this request, which they've done. And we're very comfortable with recommending it for your action tonight to approve it for the maximum, which is 3 to 65 days. Our finding is basically everything on the plan still complies with the ordinance, and the project is ready to construct basically when the weather breaks.
Questions for Rodney? Is there any cost to them of making this request? Is there a fee?
No.
Okay. And did they, you said MDOT, I've been avoiding that area because it's been a mess. But did they have a choice as to whether MDOT used their lot as a staging area? Did they say okay, or does MDOT have some sort of domain over that?
No, they absolutely had to ask. I believe the contractor worked out an agreement to be able to make use of the site. Yeah. There's no, the only thing MDOT had control over was the road right of way.
Okay.
And anything outside of that, they had to get permission for.
Do we know what an approximate completion date, or at least where it's going to go back to the point where they're not going to be obstructed from getting their stuff in there to work?
Well, the road construction is actually essentially complete. They were doing some minor repairs to the pavement earlier this week. I think there's a few little details around the edges that the contractor is taking care of, but if you've driven through there, you'll see the eastbound right-hand lane is closed. I'm pretty sure that is actually not the MDOT contractor, because unfortunately, DTE Gas has come in, and they are going to be tearing up our sidewalk along that south side of the road, at least in parts, because they are replacing their gas main. They're about to get started on that project. I asked them why they didn't coordinate that with the construction. Consumers Energy did put new gas mains in while the construction was going on, but DTE apparently did not choose to coordinate things. So they will be working along that side over the next weeks and months, but that won't harm or hamper any construction on the Crystal site, and they should be done by the spring anyway.
Okay. Other questions for Rodney? Okay, so basically we would just have a motion to approve the 365 calendar day extension. If anyone is so moved to make such a motion.
A
So
motion.
Okay. Do you need us to read it?
I'd recommend that you go ahead and read it,
Okay.
just like you do.
All right, I'll read it. Motion to approve a 365 calendar day extension to October 15th, 2024 for the approved PSPR 22-04 final site plan for the new Christ Oil filling station at 4972 East Pickard Road, PID 14-014-20-041-01, finding that the provisions of section 14.02.Q.3 for an extension have been satisfied.
Support.
I'm gonna say that was seconded by Shingles before, because you both were jumping in. So, motion, I want everybody's name in the minutes. Well, you could have read it. She jumped in and read it. She beat you to it. So, motion by Albrecht, second by Shingles to approve the request for the 365 calendar day extension as specified in the motion. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, we'll do one more roll call vote.
Waring,
Yes.
Albrecht,
Yes.
Quattrito,
Yes.
LaBelle,
Yes.
Shingles,
Yes.
Lapp,
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
All yeses.
Okay, thank you. So those were our three regular business or new business items. The other item on our agenda is the continuation of process for updating the master plan. So what's on, there wasn't anything else in our packet, so I guess I'm wondering where we are and what that's.
Well, I'd hope to have more for you for this meeting, but I unfortunately enjoyed a bout with COVID earlier this month that took more than a week of my time away. But so we will pursue that for hopefully for next month. But I do have one item to report, and that's just related to this grant, the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development grant that we have. It's essentially housekeeping that the state did provide us with the agreement document, basically setting out the terms of the grant and such, and so that is in process. They had a deadline to get it back to them, which was this past Friday. So Mark Stuhldreher, as manager, signed it. That agreement ultimately also needs board action, so the board will have that on their November 29th agenda to confirm that approval. But it essentially just simply says, yes, we agree that we're accepting the grant and the work that we're going to be doing with it related to the industrial development area along the corridor of US 127. So that part is continuing to move forward, and hopefully we'll be able to get started on that component of the master plan shortly. Basically, as soon as we receive back the signed document from the state, then we'll be able to start using those funds. We are working on the data book that we talked about, and we'll be moving forward from there.
Okay.
I guess one other item I'll mention, the survey. The township, of course, we put together the Parks and Rec survey component, and then the board decided to expand that into a township-wide survey that the board does every few years. Last time we did it, I think it was 2016. And so that survey is out. You may have, hopefully you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, please let us know. We'll make sure that you get a copy. I got a report back today that we've received back something over 400 responses so far for the written survey that's mailed back. In addition to that, we also sent out postcards for an online version of the survey that went out to primarily to the rental housing areas, the student housing, all the areas where there are apartments, mobile home parks, places where we don't have address lists. They received the postcard version, and so far I think we have about 75 responses to that digital version of the survey as well. So good response so far, and we have a good bit of time left. We have a reminder mailing going out for the written one to all those that haven't yet responded. I think it's about 1,500 is going out right now, and so hopefully we will see even more responses over the next few weeks.
How many? So the printed one went to all the households.
Yes, yeah, it went to all the addresses we have, all the physical addresses we have. So that's single family, 2-family homes.
Yeah.
All that.
Do you know what that approximate number is? You know?
2007.
Does he work here?
No, I've opened up the mail for it. I work in the department that it's done, so I've opened up the surveys and taken people off the list.
Oh,
so
you're
they
in
can't get the post office.
you're in Mary's operation.
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to put it somewhere in the 2000s. I didn't.
Okay. So that's like a 25% or almost about a 20% response rate
Yep.
so far.
Yep.
That's not terrible, I guess.
What is an acceptable rate or what's an expected rate to get accurate data?
Well, of course, we want 100. percent.
Well,
Now,
I want it to be 6.6 too.
I will say this,
Right.
frankly, 25% is great. It's very hard to get survey responses these days. The last time this was done, it was done by telephone. Or at least maybe the 2009 one was done by telephone, where you know, that was the best way to get responses, just talk to people. Well, these days, of course, just talking to people on the phone, it can be challenging. Nobody answers their phone and nobody has a landline. The response rate, I think, is good so far, and we certainly hope it gets better.
Okay.
I will tell you, I was pleased with, I know Mary Center from CMU, who's coordinated this for us, her focus is first and foremost on the written mailed back responses. And largely the reason for that is that you know, there's a level of accuracy there in the data that comes back. You know exactly where they came from, you know, which folks haven't responded yet, which folks have. You know, even though the data itself is anonymized, you know, they know who has sent things back to them. I'm pleased with the digital response because that was something we really didn't know for sure what would happen with it. It was basically a QR code and a URL, you know, that somebody would have to type in to get to the digital version. And so having 75 responses there is actually a good response rate as well, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, good. So that's one thing to look forward to, is getting the results of the survey, the data book, and then, I mean, what's, over the next several months here, what's next? We're going to start to receive like kind of drafts of potential like sections.
Yeah, I think we're going to be working both on the master plan and the Parks and Rec plan, because the survey is really the key item of information we need to then move forward with the Parks and Rec side of things. So you'll start seeing elements of both coming to you. We'll start with that data book, and then we'll be moving forward from there with using the framework that you put together over the past few months and then the survey data that comes in to start framing out some draft language for you to take a look at.
Okay, good. Other questions on this topic for Rodney? All right, so we'll look forward to that. So then we've reached the second public comment portion of the meeting. So towards the end of our meetings, we have an extended public comment for people to comment on any issue, whether it was on tonight's agenda or not. And so individuals are invited to address the Planning Commission on any topic. We again ask you to come to the podium, give us your name and address for the minutes, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. So extended public comments open at 7:43. And seeing none, we'll go ahead and close that back up. And so the last section is final board comments. So any comments from board members?
I just had a question for Commissioner Shingles. Sidewalk and pathways, it looks like there's a couple people that have already expired. Do you know, have they?
We haven't had a meeting. I've never been to a meeting.
Okay, well, maybe
I've been on.
would township staff know?
There hasn't been a meeting.
At this point, the committee has not been active, primarily because we have so many projects already in the hopper that there was not a need to kind of look beyond that. We have several years worth of projects already identified. So it is correct. We have not pursued the committee and made a priority to have them meet. As there's a need to look at it again, I think we'll have that conversation. One of the things that we may want to do is look at structuring that discussion a little differently as well. That's something I think to look at perhaps as part of updating the sidewalk ordinance itself. But for right now, we already have projects planned and budgeted for next year that all items that the committee had previously identified. And frankly, even for 2025, there are projects that are on the list that will fill the 2025 budget as well.
And no, and that's great. So if the Sidewalk and Pathways Committee had to meet, do these two people not show up then because their terms expired? How does that work?
Well, right now, essentially, the committee probably does not have a quorum of active members. But essentially, there would need to be members appointed, and they could be reappointed to fill the seats if there was a need for them.
Gotcha, okay.
Has anyone communicated with the members of the committee to let them know what the situation was?
I think there was something done early this year, but I don't know that there's been anything recently.
I ask because my husband is on the committee,
Yeah, well, yes.
and I don't believe he's heard anything. So it
Okay.
might be helpful to at least update the committee members as to what the status of the committee is, so they're aware of it.
Yeah,
So that if they are then contacted in the future, they have a better sense of what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
I will do that, I'll follow up.
Okay, any other comments from board members? If not, then I would wish everyone a really happy Thanksgiving. It's only 2 days away, so enjoy that. And we've completed our agenda for November, and so we'll stand in adjournment until our December meeting.